Hey there, man. This is Steve Horseman with Good Guys to Great Men and Friends here today. We're going to cover a topic for you that comes up all the freaking time. It's about the friend zone in marriage. Before we get started on this little round robin conversation, I want to introduce you to our certified coaches, Garret Prettyman, Jeff Allen, Mark Dresga, and of course, my partner, Dan Dorr over in England. Mark's down in Melbourne, Jeff's here in Loveland, and Garrett's in Wallace, Idaho. We've been talking before we hit go on this video about what we want to talk about on this friend zone. We hear it all the time. She's friend zoned me or roommated me, or I feel like we're just roommates. And so the five of us are going to talk about what this means, how it feels, how to think about it, and what you could do differently to maybe address it. And hopefully, we're going to go deeper than you hear people go normally when we talk about this subject. You're going to have five different perspectives here on what it means, and I hope you take something away from it. We're going to start with Garret Prettyman to talk about what he thinks about the roommate zone versus the friend zone. Garret, why don't you go ahead?
Yes, Steve, I wanted everybody watching this video to have a clear distinction of the difference between being in the friend zone and being in the roommate zone, because both of them are typically sexless, but there's a difference. If you're in the roommate zone, you're living under the same roof, you're paying the same bills, but you are ghosts in passing. You hardly see each other. You notice this big gulf of disconnection, but you hardly are having the same time together to close the gap. You've like grown apart and built your own life separately from each other. So that's another video for another time. Today, we are talking about the friend zone. So with the friend zone situation, you are spending time with your partner. You're texting, you're talking, you're hanging out, you might be laughing together, you're doing life. You're spending lots of time interacting. But that component that's missing is the sex, it's the intimacy, it's the erotic energy. We were talking before this call about the four different kinds of love, and the love that's lacking there is the eros. It's that desire, the affection. And isn't that the juicy part that makes marriage so worth it? That's what we're wanting to create with our partner, and we love to experience it. And we know she does too. So I can empathize, guys, with how frustrating it is when the woman you want to be intimate with has feels like she's putting you in that friend zone. uh, I did it in my marriage. And then I went out in the dating community and I replicated it over and over and over there too. And I was like, what am I doing here? I'm accumulating a great list of great women who want to be my friend. And then the words do come out usually from that type of relationship of, well, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. So there it is again. There's versions of love happening, not the eros. So just describing more of what it's like when you're in that season, you could almost think of the friend zone being like a flame on a candle. When the flame is tall and it's bright and it's burning, eros is there, the affection is there. So how does the flame get smaller? I mean, as the wick gets trimmed shorter, the flame gets tinier until it goes out. And there's some things we could have been doing through this time with her that we're trimming the wick shorter. When you think of it as a friend zone, it is just that. It is a zone. And it's easy to think of other zones, like look at fatherhood zone, employee zone, uh, you know, husband zone, lover zone. The friend zone requires a man to behave a certain way to be in that zone. If you went into a new job, walked up to your new coworker, and you just started giving her a back rub, that would be probably sexual harassment. It would not be well received. You're showing up with a frame to a zone that shouldn't be happening. And so think about what friends do. What do friends do? They hang out lots. They call each other a lot. They text a lot. They really overlap each other and enmesh their lives a lot. That's what you should be doing with your friends. What can happen to a lot of us men is we didn't maintain friendships. She became the friend. Well, every time you spent time with her, every time you text her, called her, spent the whole night talking with her, you were trimming the wick shorter and shorter. And now the flame is just a flicker. So my challenge for you, brother, is look at your life and notice maybe I should get out of the friend zone by getting some friends. Maybe I should take that way of being that's awesome that you can provide and spread that out a bit and let that wick grow a little taller so the flame can grow again.
Wow. You said you had an illustrating story. That was great. Wow, thank you. Hey Jeff, why don't you tell us what your thoughts are on this topic?
Yeah, I love how Garrett said that we are incidentally trimming the wick shorter and shorter, and we don't know that we're doing that, right? You want to be close with your wife, you want to share things, you want to go on vacation together. But when she decides that she doesn't want sex with you, when she decides that she wants space or she loves you but not in love with you, when she decides that she doesn't want the relationship to be the same as it was in the past, some of that is probably a good thing. You've maybe been on autopilot and found your way into a dead situation. But some of that, of her wanting to be just friends, and why is she so happy now that we're just friends? We can hang out with neighbors and do family events, and she seems much more relaxed and contented, and we can talk much more easily. But she definitely does not want anything sexual with me. She seems fine to be in limbo. It's not something that you want. Every man that I work with and talk with who's in this limbo space, and she says, well, we can just be friends. Can't we just be friends? We'll still hang out with family. Aren't we going to go on vacation together still and get separate bedrooms, separate, rent two different bedrooms? No, you can say no. I want men to understand that you can have a little smile on your face. You can have compassion for her. You can take your sadness to your men, to your friends, your man friends, like Garrett was saying, or to groups or your coach or your therapist or your beer buddies, right? And you can say to them what's really going on for you, which is, no, I don't want to be just friends with her even though it feels nice, it feels better than nothing. It's better than her being angry at you or her, well, then I won't have any time with her then. Well, maybe that's for the best. Maybe that's for the best right now, is she gets to feel the loss of your space. She gets to feel the loss of who you are because no, you don't want to be just friends. So it's okay to say no to something. A lot of men have not said no to their wife in a long time. And no, you don't want to be just friends. And you can say it in a way with compassion and calmness and love in your heart. And that's really the only way that she's going to feel the loss of the relationship is if she doesn't just get to pick and choose from the buffet of you. It's either all of you or no, you don't want to be friends with her. I want men to know that they can say no.
That's heavy. Good. Wow. Thanks, Jeff. Hey, Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm going to piggyback on Jeff's ideas, which is the idea that you can say no, but following up with actually filling that void and being who you want to be in that relationship. So the friend zone itself is you showing up as a friend, you being treated as a friend. Essentially what Dr. Robert Glover calls a girlfriend with a penis. You are making yourself available. You're having conversations. You're talking to her about all her problems, all of these things that she generally does with her friends. So the first step is to acknowledge that you are doing these things. The second step is to acknowledge that you don't want to do these things. So the third step is you've got to acknowledge what you do want to do. You have to actually show up and start being the man that you want to be as a lover. If you want to have a passionate sexual relationship, you have to actually display your passion and your sexuality. That means giving the gifts that you would give your lover, not just your friends. Now, whether she accepts the gifts or not, that's a different story. But the first step is you have to make the offer and then allow the rejection to come or the acceptance of that gift. But first, you have to understand how you actually want to show up. There has to be a delineation between being a friend and a lover.
Thanks, Mark. Mr. Dan Dorr, what are your thoughts?
The first thing I want to say is I think this is mostly around fear. So how do I get into the friend zone? Well, yes, maybe I've not been intentional about keeping the erotic energy in the relationship alive, which we've done some videos on the past. What is erotic energy? It's something different. It's not just your average run of the mill, getting stuff done, eating food together, looking after the kids. It's something different. And so there needs to be an element of growth for the man if he's going to bring something different. He can't just bring exactly the same guy that he's been up until this point to bring something different into the relationship. He's actually got to stretch himself and grow a little bit and challenge himself a little bit and look into different areas of his life that he'd like to explore. Maybe take up a new hobby, maybe take up something that he's always been interested in, that he's passionate about, but he's just for some reason or other pushed it to the side and prioritized the family, prioritized being a provider, prioritized all of those, standard things that we get into the routine of doing. But I do think fear is the big driver behind ending up in the friend zone. I'm scared of being alone. I'm scared of being rejected. I'm scared of what might happen to the kids. Well, I'm scared of divorce. I'm scared of all these things. And so he's not leading anything from that place of fear. You can't lead anything from a place of fear. He needs to brush up and build some leadership skills, right? But you can't lead anything without some kind of vision. Because where are you going? So you need some kind of vision or some kind of mission, some kind of plan as to where you want to go. So again, we come back to what do you want, which is not the easiest question to answer in this situation. Because what if you say something that you want and the other person says, no, I don't want that? Well, what if that's the case? That's just information about the reality of your situation. I don't think that's a bad thing that you should be afraid of. So there needs to be some leadership skills that get developed there, and he needs to stretch himself and grow, and he needs to get clear vision about what he wants in the future. And then he needs to be able to have the courage to be able to stand up for that. So then we come down to what does he not want? In other words, what is he tolerating that he doesn't want, which is really important. And if you don't understand that, if the only thing you know is I'm unhappy, I feel lonely, well, that's not good enough. Why? Why do you feel unhappy? Why are you creating the feelings of unhappy and loneliness? Right? It's because you're letting yourself down. It's because you're not leading yourself. It's because you're not being willing to stand up for what you believe in and challenge the things that you don't want. So that's where I would go with this.
I love it. I love it. Everything the guys have said so far is pointing to knowing who you are, what you want, what you believe in, what you cherish, focusing on a mission and a purpose that you want. And why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to hear advice like that and feel like, well, I haven't got a chance? Dan was pointing to something we talk about in the drama triangle, where when you're in the drama triangle, and the roommate zone is a drama triangle, you become a persecutor. The persecutor in the drama triangle is trying to tell her that you're feeling victimized by her. Now you go between blaming her for rejecting you and not wanting to be with you, and then you become a victim again in the drama triangle. And then you try to rescue it by apologizing all the time and arranging big dates, which she never says yes to. So when you're in the drama triangle as a man, you are what we call insecure. It is the number one human emotional disease that we always talk about. Some guys will say, well, isn't that just lack of confidence? Well, confidence is a result of courage. All of the guys today have talked about having the courage to see something differently, to see yourself differently, to see your role as a leader differently. And where do you find courage when you're insecure? Well, the root of insecurity is normally a belief or something in your body that is fearful. Most of us who are in a roommate zone have a knot in our stomach. It's a burning acidic knot in your stomach that you're not desired, you're not wanted, you've been rejected, possibly replaced by somebody better than you, right? All those things are making you get nervous even as I talk. And until you learn to find out how to get rid of that fear of rejection or being replaced, you're not going to be able to take the advice these guys have given you so far, because when you are fearful and you're feeling like a second class citizen and you're feeling like something is being done to you, everything you say is going to come out of the mouth of an 8-year old. He's going to be fearful. He's going to be hurt. He's going to be afraid. He's going to feel insulted or emasculated or offended. And so, what we do in our coaching is to have you see that coming out of that younger skin, which is a journey all of us have had to take here, into the older, more mature, wiser skin of a man who knows how to lead and get what he wants. You can't come at it from a victim standpoint. So my challenge to you is to stop saying I've been friend zoned. That's like I've been insulted. I've been so emasculated, right? Nothing happens to you unless you allow it to happen. So how about changing your language? You're not friend zoned. You're currently working on phase 2 of your relationship. Let's say that you're working on creating a tighter romantic bond. You're getting a life. You're taking some of the advice these guys have given you about finding a mission, finding friends of your own. And as soon as you start doing that, you start noticing a change in her. And it's going to sound like this. Well, you're acting awful weird lately. Oh, you're kind of full of yourself. Where are you going tonight? Oh, it's like you've given up. You don't want to be around me anymore. We hear this all the time when a guy finds his mojo. It's the golden retriever who's just loving life despite what is going around him. If she says, I don't want to pet you tonight, cool. I got 1,000 people who will pet me tonight. And I'm not talking about cheating on your wife. I'm talking about having a life that makes you grin, makes you smile. And so, with the coaching that we want to help you with, if you sign up for one-on-one coaching or take classes, is help you see deeper into the fear, into the insecurity, the younger and mature part of you that feels so powerless against this being zoned in any respect, and knowing that you can lead your way out of it if you want to, if you're not afraid of her reaction. So that's what I have to say for this today. I think this has been fun. Thank you guys for joining in on the conversation. And I'll see you guys on the flip side. If you have any questions, you can always go to www.goodguystogreatmen.com. Fill out a contact form if you want to have a one-on-one conversation about being friend zone and how to get out of it. Thanks a lot.
You guys.